Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. You're still watching Rapid Done right here on Rapid Television. Right now it's time for the big conversation. My name is Victor. Okay.
My name is Martha Alu. Welcome to the 9 o'clock hour right here on Rapid Done.
That's right. Every August 12th, the world marks International Youth Day, a day to celebrate young people and draw attention to the issues that affect their lives. And this year's theme is different context, common aspirations. The message is simple. Young people may live in different situations, but many of them share the same hopes: good education, jobs, opportunities, and a voice in decisions, and of course, a better future. Here in Nigeria, we often talk about young people, but are we really listening to them? Are young Nigerians being given a real seat at the table, or are they only brought in when decisions have already been made? And that is the conversation that we are having today, putting young voices at the heart of the conversation. And joining us on the conversation today is Blessing Ewa, the Executive Director, YASIV Nigeria. Blessing, good morning. Welcome to the conversation.
Good morning.
Thank you so much. It's nice to be here.
It's good to have you join us today.
Thank you.
Let's talk about the International Youth Day. Basically, what does giving young people a real seat at the table really mean?
Okay, thank you so much for the question. If you ask me, I would say giving young people seats at the table means giving them the opportunity to be part of the decision-making process. Because, let's look at our context as Nigerians, for instance. We're a youthful population, given that over 60% of our people are young persons.
That's right.
And then we are talking about making decisions that is fit for the future generations. You cannot do that decision outside the generation that would benefit from it. So I feel like this year we should look at, come together and look at how young people can be part of whatsoever strategy that we are putting in place for the future that is going to be fitting for them. So I think that this is the best opportunity for us to consider that from the decision-making standpoint, from whichever context that we are looking at. Yeah.
All right. This year's theme is different contexts, common aspirations.
Right.
Please walk us through why that theme, what does it mean for this year's celebration?
Okay, so from what it means is the fact that I like the fact that the United Nations have acknowledged the fact that you have young people living across different nations, facing different issues. What we are facing as young persons in Nigeria may not be the same a young person is facing probably in the West. So it's very important for them to acknowledge the fact that despite the fact that we are all fighting for the same thing, we may not be facing the same issues.
Yeah.
But regardless, we should work together towards a common goal. I'll give you an instance, the Sustainable Development Goals, for instance. Regardless of where you live, the SDGs is the SDGs.
That's
You may
right.
be suffering from maybe environmental degradation, another person may be suffering from food insecurity, but at the end of the day, what matters is that we are all fighting for the common goal, which is sustainable development. So at this particular point, young people need to understand that regardless of your context or your local environment, you need to look at it from that angle, that we are all working towards common goal. And then from your own local aspirations, you can actually, there's something they call local actions, global impact. You can actually do the little you can do to see how that, move towards, achieving the greater good.
Okay.
Now, in this time and era, young persons can actually go to school, learn a skill, and then they still struggle to find work. Where exactly is the gap right now?
So thank you for that question. A very interesting one. For me, what I would say, based on our experience, especially the work we do at YASIV, the gap may not be only a reskilling gap, but a gap of employability, finding the right skill for the right purpose. From our, should I say, curriculum, I don't think there are provisions to allow people choose maybe industry skills based on what they are pursuing. Everybody does everything, English, math, social science, and all. And when they come out from universities, they are faced with these, do we say, the global market or the job market now is looking at them and they're saying, oh, you're not fit for this and you are coming for this. So young persons at the end of the day find it very difficult, to place where they actually fit in. So there have been introduction of skills, like at YASIV we do the Reskilling Revolution Africa Skills Build program, but we later realized that that is not enough. Outside reskilling, there needs to be post-mentorship, where young people understand which skill should go with their own career aspirations, so that they build alongside that skill, so that in the nearest future they are able to find the right career for the skills that they have built. So I would say personally, is employability issues that have been facing, you know, the gaps, you know, when it comes to finding opportunities in Nigeria, and then the right mentorship. So I believe that is what we also do. So after reskilling, we don't just let them go into the market. We allow them pass through mentorship where they are able to understand what, maybe career aspirations that they have and the kind of skills that they should build towards, you know, finding that job. And then another thing again is them being ready for the job market in terms of interview readiness, job placement readiness, what are employers looking for, are you ready for your CV, your social media optimization. I think things are, little things like these are things we have overlooked in the past years. That is why we end up saying Nigerian youths are not qualified. Not necessarily because there are opportunities, but at the end of the day, these opportunities are not fitting for them because the preparations and the readiness has never been there in the first place.
Right. You spoke about employability, and if you notice the conversation around social space is along this line, and I'll take first from the Money Point co-founder, and you know what he spoke about. It's almost in the same line with what you have said. There are jobs, but are there people fit to occupy these positions? Not just that, there's a recent trend of the Olodo uprising, and it's like everywhere, and it's immediately that conversation was had in the social space. It's like when you hear people talk, you are now weighing them with that metrics. How far does this person know? So this is a problem with our generation. We have now, when they say Nigerian youth now, we are now synonymous to either the Olodo uprising, not skilled enough, not willing to get into the job. How do we bridge this gap? First, how did we get here? And then how can we bridge this gap?
Okay, so like what I have been saying, let me pick from what what's his name now?
Money Point's
co-founder. Maybe what he should have done, you know, to address this issue, and I think people pointed that out to him, was to have created a mentorship platform. Because you saying that you don't have people to do the jobs might not necessarily be true. What I can testify is the fact is the fact that young people are really determined. Like the skills we run, people stay awake at night to do courses. So it's not that they are lazy, it's that they are not mentored enough to understand what they really want for themselves. So if you identify that there is a gap within your own system or your own industry, the first thing you need to do is to throw out a mentorship program to help young people find their place. So after that is being done and you see that people are not giving in, then you can come out to say that, you know, we don't think the people are ready. But have you tried, you know, solving the problem that is before you, you know, before stating? Because young people are willing to learn if you give them the opportunity to. Where the gap is the fact that this has, you know, it has been from the roots. They have not been structured, should I say mentorship, right from school days. I mean, we have counseling departments and the rest of that. But I don't think it really picks on, you know, helping you find, you know, the right career path for you. Because if that happens, you will find, you know, the right mentorship, and then you will be able to follow what you're passionate about. Not necessarily following where, you know, the crowd goes, because they'll tell us to do, it's either you're a lawyer, a medical doctor, an engineer, because that's the only thing we had growing up. So everybody wants to be a lawyer. Unfortunately, not everybody will get the admission. I wanted being a medical doctor. I think after trying, the cutoff points was too much. You know, so that has been the error from the beginning. I think it's, you know, there are no mentorship programs that help people identify their passion. Now I'm happy where I am. If I had gotten this mentorship from the beginning, I probably may have been happier.
So condition was part of it as well.
Yes.
Okay, look at it from this angle. Nigeria is the population of Nigeria is made up by youth. Well, how much of influence does young people actually have in the decision that affects their own lives?
They do have influence if they are given the opportunity. Because I have had the opportunity, you know, to sit at decision-making tables when it comes to policy frameworks. And I have actually seen that it is very important, because I don't just speak as a young person, I speak from my own perspective and how this decision is going to affect me. So if young persons are given that opportunity, they look at their own context and they say that, okay, if you do A, B, C, it's going to affect our population because this is what we are passionate about. I will give you another instance, like the skills program we are running. After we ran the first one, we had to come back with a survey asking young people, what do you think? Do you think this is the area you want to venture into? Can you recommend skills you feel is fitting for, you know, your industrial needs? That is how you make them, you know, you bring them into the room to make decisions on what affects them. And they were able to recommend, you know, their own courses that they want to do because they feel this is relevant to them. And we followed, you know, their suggestions. And because of that, we have, you know, good number of young people. I mean, we've reached over 40,000 young people across Nigeria. good number of young people that are signing up because they feel like this skill is relevant to their own industrial need. So if policymakers can do same thing, where before you drop policies that you feel should be beneficial to the young person, bring these different categories of young people into the room, ask them what you think they need and how you feel, they feel like your decision is going to impact their future, hear from them, and then, you know, more like a collaboration kind of like thing. And you realize that, you know, these young persons are truly beneficial because they say only he who wears the shoes knows where it comes from.
That's right. So they can be influential if only they've been given that, the privilege to be there in the room.
Yes.
All right. Now let's talk about politics. In Nigeria, we still see youths being underrepresented in roles, you know, political offices. And sometimes when conversations like this are now being brought up, what you would hear the people, the ruling class say is, we don't have young people who are willing to take up these positions, or we don't have young people who are qualified enough to occupy these positions. Now, what is the problem with young people and being involved? Because you sit at policy formation tables, which means that if we have 10, 20 Nigerians, young Nigerians sit at that table, we will advance the cause of young people here in Nigeria. So what do you think is the reason that there's some sort of pushback when it comes to political inclusiveness for youth?
Thank you so much. I think it's a lack of awareness, or should I say the availability of information for the young persons that are out there. Because I may have been privileged to, you know, maybe because of the space I find myself in as a development worker. So sometimes I get these invitations, maybe as an executive director, you say, okay, you can come to this policy. And then we've asked those questions. What about the roots in the, you know, living in the grassroots? How are they not part of this table? The question is, do they even have access to this information? Do they even know that such a platform exists? And then, because another issue now linked to that could be accessibility. It's not that the people are not there. What has, should I say, government and policymakers done, you know, to engage these people actively, you know, because it's not like engaging them on media, like social media and all of that, but are they actively being or meaningfully engaged? So I think they should create that strategy, starting from the grassroots, where young people can even be part of their local government, you know, processes. You know, they can be invited to the meetings, the conversations, and from there they are groomed on how this conversation, you know, happens. Then they can now step up, you know, to the national platform. From the grassroots, they should be included. So maybe that, should I say, platform has not really, you know, if it has been created, because I wouldn't want to put words in the mouths of, if it has been created, then it is not accessible, or it's not public enough for young people. So I wouldn't say that they are not, young people are very passionate, you know, especially in Nigeria.
Well, we hear governor is creating now about 40,000 SSAs, you know, pretty soon.
Okay. But then again, we would ask, these positions, the advert, will they go out there for people to actually apply and be given the opportunity, you know, to test their skills or their ability? Because that's another thing again. Because if it's the selection is being made on should I say sentiments, is there still a problem? Because at the end of the day, we can still say that young people are not reached. Because if you don't give the number of young people in Nigeria an opportunity for them to, you know, apply for a particular, you know, position or whatsoever, we could still say the opportunities are not there. So I think they should create platforms that such platforms should be able to reach even the grassroots.
All right. So you made mention of something, you know, from the first question. You spoke about how young people are not being exposed to mentorship. And the truth is, we have a number of young people who graduate from school and they just come out, they're just left to navigate life and the workforce by themselves. They're not aware of what to do. So because we are commemorating International Youth Day, I would ask you, what are the practical steps that a youth, a young person that is just starting out with life, trying to navigate their way around the labor force of Nigeria and maybe globally, what are the actionable steps they can take towards being very valuable?
I think first things first is for them to look for opportunities. Because while I keep blaming decision makers, I also have some level of blame for the young people. Do you search out for these opportunities? Because if you go online, they are there. The social media that we leverage a lot, I mean, to, you know, talk about all the celebrities and what they are doing and not. That same social media has opportunities that's flying around. Do you take note of those opportunities? And then we also need to look at mindset orientation for the young person. Because in Nigeria, we believe that it is hustling to survive. whichever jobs that give me the money.
Yeah,
so I may not be a finance person, but if I find a banking job that pays me like 2 million and above, I'm willing to do the job because I want to feed my family. But ordinarily, that is not how it should be. So maybe there should be a mindset orientation first for the young person. They should, speak to themselves that I need to follow a career path that matches my aspirations, not necessarily because of what I want to gain in the long run. So in that way, they are already conditioned, to follow the right path. Then after which they search out opportunities within, their chosen area of maybe passion, and then pursue it that way. There are opportunities out there. They can always reach out for mentorship. I'll use myself for an instance. After school, even right while I was in school, I had written to organizations seeking for opportunities to volunteer. That is one way to start because I needed to build that relevant skills for my industry. And volunteering is quite easy, because organizations or industries are looking for people that work freely for them, But you don't see that you are doing them a favor. Like I said, everything boils back to mindset. Young people feel that if I work with you for free, I'm doing you a favor because I'm helping you meet your goal. But that's not necessarily or completely true. It's a two-way thing because while I'm helping you meet your goal, you are also helping me build my skills and expertise. So I would say that even before I started my organization, I have done 90% volunteering. People don't believe that. I hardly work, I wasn't working on a full-time role. I loved volunteering because every single time I volunteer with an organization, I am building relevant skills. I am learning on the role. I am, I get queried every here and there, but it helps me build myself and become better. I have line managers, that look out for me. I build expertise on the go. At the end of the day, you see me and think that I did all the experience. Yeah, I didn't have the money to do the paid courses online. So what I went for was volunteering and mentorship. So probably you may not find someone that is physically available to mentor you, but you put yourself through the process by learning on the go. So you watch how people do things, you watch how people speak, you watch how people present. In that way, you are learning. While you are serving for free, you are also building expertise. And especially for the global expectations, when it comes to the global community, they don't ask you which paid job did you do. They ask you, even while volunteering, what experience have you built over time? I just came back from my Achievement Scholarship, and most of the things I had written there was from my volunteering experience. They don't wipe that out because I was able to tell them how I found passion and I went, place myself for volunteering, build the right skills, and because of that, it helped me to become what I am today. So they should look out for organizations or companies that are willing to accept volunteers, especially the ones in line with their own area of passion, and then sit down and learn.
So I really just hope that a lot of young people understand the power of volunteer. I think we've spoken about it here many times. Volunteering. And these days in Nigeria, people go to volunteer and still expect to get paid for some reason. You see, it's a volunteering job, no stipend. It's volunteering. You're not supposed to be paid.
Some organizations actually bring in the stipends as well.
Yes.
But I've also heard people talk about the fact that the best way for you to actually begin an entry job or to enter into an industry is through volunteering.
Yes.
But here you hear people ask you to bring 3 years experience before you even get a job.
That's how you get it.
But this is how you get that experience.
Exactly. Because even in my own organization, there are people that came in through as volunteers, and after they've built expertise over time, and then there's an open role, we start with them first. Because we trust you more who have been in the system and understands the system more than someone who is just coming in regardless of whatever skills they are bringing in.
So sometimes you have to be in the room to actually even gain a seat on the table. But let's talk about some persons that are not in the major cities, right? Like Abuja, Port Harcourt, and Lagos, and they don't have access to good internet, access to good education. How can we make youth inclusion accessible for both group of people?
Okay, I think over time we've had that sort of conversation. This is where it also boils back now to decision makers and probably leaders. We are talking about religious leaders. We are talking about maybe the government itself. They need to create centers for mentorship, because internet has been the most reliable way for young people to learn at their own pace, even without necessarily having to go to any physical structure to to gain experience. But if you have if you come to a point where you have the grassroots people that do not have access maybe to these technology, then they need to make provisions for them, especially for inclusion's sake. So we are talking about churches, because when it comes to churches or mosques, I don't think there's any rural area that does not have those institutions. So they can actually create systems or mentorship systems that help these young people build on the go. And then when it comes to government structures, that's why you have local government chairmen. That's why you have what do you call them now? There are various levels of I'm not a politician, but like councillors and all of that. They should create opportunities, because where I was living in Calabar, there's this thing they called Skills Something Something Center, like Women Learning Center. Create opportunities for young people, bring them in, and then let them start building from there. So we don't say, oh, because they do not have access to probably Android phones or internet connectivity, then they should not have access to the opportunities that present themselves.
About it. And you know, some of the challenges, you know, most times when things are not working within the society, the first call is the government. Right? Even with young people, right? Things aren't working, we're all calling the government at this point in time. Government has to do this, they need to do that. The brain drain system, I mean, we're all calling on the government to do something about that. But where does government responsibility end, and where does the youth responsibility also begin?
So governments is, I mean, they are very important when it comes
Surely.
to things like this, because I mean, it's more like saying they are your leaders. Our job is to search out the opportunity. Their job is to provide. So they make the provisions. Oh, I forgot to mention NGOs, you know, all of those development spaces they can also provide, because we have NGOs that are very passionate about education, quality education, bringing education to the unreached.
Right.
So while these opportunities are provided, the young persons should be willing to take them. We've had governments bring out structures or opportunities for young people, and young people don't even access these things. They are not interested. They rather spend time on Instagram, on Twitter, you know, commenting and liking everything that goes by. So yeah, in that way, while opportunity is provided, you need to make yourself available to access this opportunity. Because if you don't, regardless of whether the opportunity is provided or not, change is not going to happen, because you have not presented yourself, you know, to adopt this change. So it's a two-way thing. So we are relying on the government to provide these opportunities, but we are also relying on young people to take these opportunities and take it seriously.
All right.
Okay, let's talk about the future of work. Big conversation now in the social space.
Yeah.
What is the future of work regarding the youth, particularly in Nigeria? Because I tell you something, working with young people takes extra effort in this time and age. You have to explain everything, you have to sound a certain kind of way, their mental health is always at risk. There's always something.
Yeah.
Now, with this trend you're seeing, what do you think the future of work in Nigeria will be? And how can we fix whatever we think is broken at the moment?
The truth is, the future of work is now driving towards artificial intelligence.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately. I don't know if I should unfortunately.
Unfortunately for the people who wouldn't catch up.
Yeah, exactly. Because right now we are seeing this trend of AI taking over jobs.
Yeah.
Meaning the risks of employability for the nearest future is even higher.
Yeah.
So young people need to, I think, adapt to the changing trends to be able to catch up. I mean, you cannot continue with the analog system, not at this age and time, especially as a young person. There's no excuse for that. You need to learn basic AI system, prompts, especially when it comes to such AI to like Gemini, ChatGPT and all of that. You cannot give the excuse like, oh, I'm not a tech person, I'm not an AI person. It may affect you. So they need to first understand that there is a change. I think like it's now dynamic. So they need to, you know, set themselves, you know, to follow the new trend, which is now artificial intelligence. Because if, as a young person working in whichever company, your job is even at risk if you do not know how to even leverage AI.
Sure.
So they need to ask themselves, what is the growing trend, which is artificial intelligence. See how, we are not saying everybody should become AI expert. No, that's not what it is. What we are saying is whatever thing you do, either in the educational sector, in the health sector, in information sector, try to see how you can leverage artificial intelligence to drive what you do, you know, to achieve your, you know, the best results. Because a time will come where people are asking, how are you leveraging technology, you know, to drive the results that you are driving? And if you do not have an answer to that, you may probably lose out, because right now that is what might affect, you know, the youth within this region. They need to stand up and then adapt to the growing trends of artificial intelligence.
What if I have an opposing thought regarding the future of work?
Bring it on.
I have had these arguments many times with people when they say the future of work is just artificial intelligence. But I think the future of work is in the emotional stability of the young people. We have too many unstable people, and we don't see how the situation in Nigeria contributes to the instability of these young people. These are the minds who would work whether with artificial intelligence or whatever. So I think that the future of work depends largely on the stability, emotional, physical, psychological stability of the young people who will be working in that era. How do you think that these areas can be properly considered in working with young people and developing framework for, you know, productivity in this generation?
To answer your question, unfortunately, I'll go back to policymakers. I know it doesn't want to mention the government, but that's why they're coming. Because they need to now create policies and frameworks that, you know, just like in the workplace, you have what you call staff well-being, where you look at their emotional, mental, physical well-being, ensuring that you are not inflicting pain in the place of work. So that should be in the constitution for every Nigerian, whether you're in the workspace or not. You know, just like you have, it's part of the fundamental human rights. So you should know that everybody has their rights to their, you know, good mental state of health, not somebody trying to inflict pain on another person, especially in the workplace. Let's talk about the workplace. These days, workplaces become very toxic, especially for young people. They now lose their self-esteem as a result. And that is not healthy enough because they carry that trait to another work environment. And I believe you when it comes to that. So there should be strict policies and maybe consequences following those policy framework. Strong implementation too, because Nigeria is very good when it comes to policy. But implementation has always been our problem. So those policies should be, you know, put in place to ensure that every single person, not just young person, but every single person in whichever space you find yourself is protected. I know the West, they are very good, you know, with that. I mean, when I was in school, you know, in the UK, we had this scenario where we needed to submit our, you know, coursework by, say, a particular date. And all the students came and said, oh, my mental health, it's too close, my mental health is at risk. And the lecturer had to quickly move it, you know, because they take those things very seriously. Maybe it's high time we start, and then young people should not abuse it.
Thank you for taking that. I was going to tell you.
Young people, because we are also very hyper, we should not abuse that opportunity when it comes, so that I don't go to work tomorrow and then my boss tells me to do something and I'll say, oh, I think my mental health is at risk, I'm going to report it to the government. So it's while we are trying to help, you know, our generation, we as young persons should try to also help the people helping us, so we don't make work too burdensome for them.
Absolutely.
Let's take a breather. When we'll come out, we'll continue with this conversation. Do stay with us. Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. This is still Rapid On, right here on Rapid Television. And we'll be having conversation in commemoration of the International Youth Day. And of course, we've had Blessing Ewa, the Executive Director of YASIF Nigeria, here with us. Once again, thank you, Blessing, for being here.
Thank you.
So you interact with young people, you know, on a regular. What are some of the things young people are telling you today that the government is not hearing enough?
I think what they are really hitting at is opportunities. They really want opportunities to build their expertise. They want platforms to grow. And I believe that if they are given these platforms, they'll really appreciate it. And I must commend, you know, some of the government initiatives that have gone ahead. We can't say the government is not doing anything at this point. You know, we have the NYSC program that has actually given some people jobs. We have the NJFP program from the UNDP that, you know, links people to organizations and agencies where they can build expertise. But we feel also with the number of young people in the country, maybe we need to make more. And then another thing could be communicating it. I know we had started this conversation about right communication from the beginning, communicating these opportunities in a way that they understand and how it applies to them. Maybe communication has been, you know, should I say, a bending issue. Like, it has not really been straightforward, I mean, with young persons in the room, because you find these young people out there, they begin to cry about opportunities not being available, but there are opportunities. Maybe the communication is not just happening as it should. That is something that I feel like we should look into, because I wouldn't say there are no opportunities. I would just say that maybe it's not maybe well communicated.
All right.
All right. Now let's talk about cognitive developments for young people.
Yeah.
I found that, and I'm sure you see, you know, commentaries that are being run, articles on the social space. You know, there's a certain debates that happen in the US, and one of the major conversations that sprang up from that debate is the fact that a lot of young people now have declined when it comes to cognitive behaviors and patterns, where a young person can no longer identify something and have an independent perspective of that thing. Social media has found a way to summarize thoughts for us everywhere. So you most likely find a thought about everything on social media. So what most young people do now is go and adopt a thought pattern that is already existing. So it is hard for young people to form ideas on their own. Say, for instance, we say that this is a ball. Many young people will come from a pattern of what have existed before. This is not a ball. It is this. It is that. No significant arguments regarding your own patterns and thoughts. This is a problem that would affect us in the future, because we have young people that this set of people will now eventually come to raise. We're talking about the future of work. If you cannot form an independent idea and you rely on existing ones, what is the possibility that you'll be able to build framework, policies that can last? And these people are the ones now CEOs. You know that we have CEOs everywhere these days. How do we deal with this issue?
Thank you for that question. And also to bring you back to why I said, unfortunately, for technology development, now that is where we have the issue. Because we now have young persons who now...
Disadvantage?
No, you know, you have, everything has its pros and cons. So this is now me picking from, you know, the disadvantage angle now. You now have young people who not just social media, even go to AI, you know, to get AI to, you know, to give them thoughts and consents. And I mean, that is really disturbing. In as much as AI is supposed to assist, AI is not supposed to be our brain. And because this generation of young people that are coming up are not exposed to the way we were trained. Not we now. I'm part of the young person. But I don't think I'm alpha or beta. But with the older persons, so what they are used to is getting help from artificial intelligence or from social media space. Now that is concerning. But while that is concerning, we also know that also need to know that civilization is evolving. First, we need to accept that. It cannot be business as usual as it were in the 1980s or the early 90s. Now we have a generation that depends on maybe the social space to make decisions. So we have to now look at ways to work with what is available to address the problem. You cannot address the problem away from the root of the problem. So look at what the problem is, the source of the problem, which is the social media space or artificial intelligence. Address it from that angle. Maybe by bringing some certain restrictions, you know, that does not allow young persons to become hypnotized in the whole process, or try to train them using that same tool. Imagine AI training you how not to depend on AI. You get
that's maybe productive for them.
You get so you go to ChatGPT and you're typing something, I don't know what to do today, what do you think? And then ChatGPT is like, in as much as I'm here to help you, I would advise you think and then let me know your thoughts and I'll be happy to assist. So we need to now solve the problem from the problem. I think that's the best way to address this issue. We cannot run away from it. This is what it is, and this is what we have been, you know, faced with. We can't run away from it. We have to face it heads on. Work with the people who are in charge of creating these spaces and let them know how these spaces, I don't know if there's like a survey or monitoring system that they use in these spaces to know how it affects or impacts people. So they should be able to pick from these results and see how they can draw solutions so people don't become zombies in the nearest future because they no longer use their brain, because that's what we're heading to if, you know, not something is not done about it. Then see how you can use this same, know how you get snakes venom from snakes. See how you can now create the solution from the problem. So I feel that's for my own.
So we don't end up thinking alike.
You know?
Yes.
All right. You know, we spent years saying that the youth are the leaders of tomorrow. Do you think that message is still a useful message today? That's one side of the question, but answer is right.
Well, the only hope I have now as regarding that message is the fact that now we have a youthful population. And whether the old people like it or not, they will face out. And then, you know, the leaders of tomorrow will finally come. Because we've been waiting for years. I mean, we now have over 70% young person, I think between the ages of 15 and 25 alone. So that is a lot. So regardless, tomorrow's workspace, decision-making table might be occupied with young persons. But then, while we speak about being future leaders, are we ready?
Exactly.
Because that is the big question we have not asked ourselves, especially as young people. Are we ready to take the seat? The old man who is on that seat has been there from the beginning. He has passed through patterns, understand mistakes, and, you know, learns from them. We are a generation of people that probably do not have that level of expertise, you know, to build a system or a structure that stands. The question is, are we ready? It's not about taking the seat, because we also had young people giving, you know, roles of decision making, and they abuse it. So are we truly ready? If we are ready, then we can now have the conversation of how the future is ours. Regardless, being that we are now in a youthful population, the future is truly ours.
So there's hope.
There is hope.
Let me speak to this subject, right? A lot of persons, once they get to the age of 40, they begin to feel old. In other words, trying to pursue the things that they always desire to pursue. At the age of 40, they begin to feel, okay, it's time to retire. I no longer have the strength or the willingness to do that, you know. But people, there are other persons in different generations that are 70 and they're still trying to build new companies and all of that. How do we get to handle all of this in our generation, in our country as well?
Yeah, that's a very tricky question. But what I would say is, I know we do have policies for work ages. I don't know if that works or that is still...
And that's for civil service.
Yes, but I think that should also be applicable to even leadership roles like presidency and all of that. So it also gives the upcoming people an opportunity for them to also serve. Because if you have one person stay in the place one too long, the next person coming might grow weary and tired of waiting. So I think those policies should come in and they should be very strict so that it gives opportunity. Like say for instance, this position is between the ages of A to B. So by the time you exceed this age, you are allowed to step down. So somebody within that age can take it up from there. So in that way, people who are coming up, therefore people who give up at 40, that is, it shouldn't be so. And I understand the system can push you to do that, because if you have tried over the years, or your 40 years, and nothing seems to be working, you will definitely crash and you want to, give in and, say, I'm retiring at this age, which is not supposed to be so. So at that point, I think, like you did mention, we need to start working on our mental health or our mental state or well-being to see that, people understand that they need until they get to a certain age that they should not retire, because the country depends on them, the system depends on them, their expertise is really needed, especially in creating sustainable development, so that they see themselves working. And then these opportunities should be there as well, because I feel like we're growing people with limited resource. In as much as I say opportunities are there, the opportunities are not enough, regardless of the fact that they are there. So we cannot say Nigeria is 200+ million people. China is more. India is more. I think India should be like 1 billion or so. But yeah, they're a country. I mean, they have their limitations here and there, but they are thriving as with the number of people. So a number should not be our problem. So we need to sit down and see how we can create, a system flow, a process flow where people at a certain age have certain opportunities waiting for them. And by the time you exceed that age, like NYSC, for instance, when you exceed 30, you don't go for it anymore. By the time you exceed a certain age, you hand it over to somebody else, and then you go for another opportunity that is available within your age limit. So for people who want to work up to 70 or 80, there are opportunities that are waiting for you for that particular age. Maybe opportunity that needs some certain level of industrial experience, like you serve in that position, so that at the end of the day, everybody serves. People don't feel left out or feel not included in the process.
So all right. Every age, every evolution. So
conclusively for me now, a year from now, what actual measurable change will show that this conversation here actually moved something?
First things is mindset orientation. So, I mean, if a young person have seen this, the first thing is to look at themselves and say, what do I actually want for myself? Have I been heading the right path, or am I just following the crowd? Because imagine if a celebrity comes, a very popular celebrity comes online now and say, the best course is cybersecurity. Would I go and do cybersecurity because, a celebrity has mentioned that, or would I follow what my heart's desire is? So first things first is, are they building? Because if the mindset is wrong, no matter what you do, no matter policies you create, no matter systems you're trying to build, it's not going to work out. So first thing is for them to, to build a healthy mindset towards the goal that they have set for themselves. And then the next thing is to look out for opportunities that are available, build based on their area of focus. And then if they can do that, in the next 1 year, you'll see young people coming out more informed. You'll see them making more informed decisions. And then you will see them taking spaces now that they really fit in. And because they are in spaces where they truly fit in, they will be making notable results and impact, because that is actually the space that is made for them. So I think that is one thing that would bring about the change if they truly do it.
All right, thank you so much, Blessing, for your time with us today. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, we've been speaking with Blessing Ewa, Executive Director, YASIF Nigeria, talking about the International Youth Day. Back to myself, I'm Martha in the studio to you.
Well, this conversation is one that holds like a very important place in my heart, as a matter of fact, because I have seen a lot of young people live below their potential. And that's because they don't search for knowledge. I agree that there's a part that the government has to play, which is in policy formation and what have you, and framework.
Right.
But there's also a part that a young person is supposed to play. Take a chance on yourself. I mean, sometimes, you know, the conditions are not favorable, but if you place a bet on yourself, I promise you, and decide that you will be exceptionally good at something, trust me, that's how they say it. The universe will align for you, right? But the truth is, young people now need to learn to take what they want. Don't wait until it is given to you, because it might never ever be given to you. You just have to go out there to search for it and be the best that you can be. I sound like a motivational speaker now, but that's what it is.
And of course, whilst we're preparing for the future, it's important that we need to take steps today to get ready for it. If we must lead tomorrow, then we must have to start preparing from today to do that. And that being said, this is all we're going to be taking on today's edition of the Rapid Done right on Rapid Television. Do remember that you can follow us on our social media pages across our platform at Rapid TV, and you can get to rewatch all our episodes on the YouTube platform, which is at Official Rapid TV. And wherever you are in the world, you can watch us live using our website www.arabianradiotv.com. And of course, there's an addition, which is the free TV app. All you need to do is download the free TV app, and of course search for Rapid Television, and we're going to be on your screen every single day. My name is Victor. Okay.
My name is Martha Alu. Thank you for joining us today. We will see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.